Hey guys, welcome to the shit show. This is Tammy, your hostess, and that is my roommate, Miss Sissy McGiss. That's Sissy McGissy. Hi, Sissy McGiss. Say hi to the crowd. Say hi to the people, Sis McGiss. Yes, I'm totally allergic, but she's staying with me. Actually, I got her right before my husband died. Yeah, and what a blessing she's been. So, before we get on with the with the video and our subject today of becoming a widow way too soon, I'm going to take you around the house. I'm going to hold this as steady as I can. It's even more crowded now, you guys. I had to clean out my husband's apartment, but I have to tell you that with some of his stuff here, I feel more at ease, more tranquil. That's a futon. My husband was a bass player. He was a bass player in Vegas for over 40 years. You see his guitar back there in our wedding picture there. And underneath that white thing right there is my fireplace. I'm sorry it's taken me so long. And this flower came from the hospice. It was in by his bed when he passed. So I took it. Well, took it, baby. This is a studio apartment, 460 square feet. I know it looks chaotic, guys. Now you know what my mind looks like. See all that water over there? I got 4 of them for $5.55. My girlfriend goes, "Why all the water?" I said, "For $5.55, I'd sleep on them." Because you just can't get 4 cases of water for $5 these days. And that's my couch, my Miss McGiss, my Sissy McGissy. So this is my living room area. I'm trying to show you. That's my dining room. That's my spare bedroom. Yeah. Back through there is my kitchen, bathroom. And then this is the wall that I built. Right here. I built it with the room dividers. And the last is a lattice one that opens up. Let me see. Opens up for you just a hair. Kind of gives you an idea that it closes off the whole bedroom area. Put it back. Yeah. I put a handle on it so I could reach it. I have sayings all over the house. Yeah. So I'll stop by and give you a glance. So the only thing that cools this whole apartment is this little AC unit. It's on 76. Today it's 114 out. My house is cool. You'll notice that I have a mess of locks. And if they get through all those, they get to meet my pew-pew. Whose name is Pinky. Because she's pink. I use 3 fans. There's 1, 2, and I got one over here. Barely you can see it, like right there. I use 3 fans to pull the cool air through the house. Guys, my house is a mess. I'm in mourning. I promised I would make a video. I'm doing the best that I can. And this is my bedroom area. And as you can see on this side of the wall, I have all kinds of stuff hanging. My little lights up on top went out. Las Vegas, we got that the day we got married. And I took one of those things that go behind your toilet and I incorporated that into my wall to have storage room. And then I took one of those little brown things that have 3 drawers and incorporated it. I know, right? I got creative. Good thing then, because now I cannot. My longer wigs live here. My long wigs live here. You'll get to meet them more toward, let me come this way. Yeah, more toward winter. This is one of my favorites. And then I got this girl down here. I got a ton of wigs. And that's JoJo, by the way. See her name? Her name tag. Here's another one of my signs. Okay. So, coming through my house, it is packed wall to wall. It was crowded before Elliot died. Yeah. I mean, and I left a bunch of stuff. I left a 6-foot fireplace. I left a freezer twice that size. I left beds, furniture, stuff I just didn't have room for, nor did I want. That's my baby's den. She usually goes in there when she doesn't feel comfortable. Obviously, she lives there 99% of the time. That's her house. It's her safe spot. More water. And then out here I got one of these little bins because I don't have that much storage in my kitchen. Another sign. I'm telling you, I got them everywhere. There's that third fan I was speaking of. It pulls the air into my kitchen. My aprons. You guys know I love to cook. We will be cooking. That picture was my husband's. I'm telling you, having his stuff here, you guys, really makes a difference. Yeah. So coming into my kitchen, we have more signs. Yeah. And then, absolutely. And then this was for my friend, childhood friend, Mikey Cross. He's stoned out of his brain 99% of the time. I usually aim it toward a wall to confuse him. And then here's another one. It broke. So this is my little kitchen. It is a mess. This is up on there right now because the sun in the afternoon hits this window and causes my kitchen to be like 125 degrees. It's horrible. I have a water distiller, so I had to drink clean water. Like I need water. Okay. My little kitchen. I got a bread maker back here. And my coffee pot. I have a French press as well. I also, up on the refrigerator, if you can see it behind all the cereal, I have a drip coffee pot. You think I'm addicted to coffee, guys? Coffee cups. Air fryer, toaster, can opener. I don't know how that got all wedged in there. I have a thing about straws right now. I bake a lot. This area is just chaotic. My house is chaos right now. So is my little brain. I don't know how I got through so far. But I'm managing. So today I have Jenny on. You'll get to meet Jenny when I turn the camera around. But here are some more of my girls. And I have one coming today that I need a name for. Yeah. And these are the ponies. These are clip-on claw ponies. I think they in a bun. And then I have two more of my girls here. So in here is a mad mess. This is my walk-in closet that is so packed. You can't walk in it. I have food storage, soda, Gatorade. I mean, it's busy. Yeah, I gotta clean it out. This is my vanity area. Oh, another sign. I like this is one of my favorites. Just saying. So there's Jenny. Hi. I look like shit, you guys. My face is all swollen. But we're going to do the damn thing. We're doing this. Absolutely. So in here is my little bathtub. area. It's not very big. It's the potty. The walls, yeah. And I have a full-length mirror. There I am. Hi. So that's pretty much. There's Sunny. That's Sunny. Actually, Sunny is the long one. I don't know how her name got here. That's not Sunny. And you know what? Like in here, you see that right there? That's a huge crock pot. That's a boondocking refrigerator, my sewing machine. I mean, I'm telling you guys, my house is packed. Jam-packed. But you know what? It's home. And then I do a lot of canning. Can you see? Let me see if I can get you down there. Under my couches and my bed and my futon, I store the food I can. Because when I get hamburger on sale for a really good price, I get it and I can it. Hi, sisters. Hi, Sissy McGiss. Hi, Sissy McGissers. Guys, I'm allergic to chihuahuas. You're going to see in a minute, but I'm not getting rid of her. Sis has been here about 2 months. I got her way before Elle passed. Yeah, she's a good girl. Huh, aren't you? Aren't you a good girl? Oh, another sign. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is a new phone. It's one of those flip phones. You flip it open. So I am going to get you a picture of my husband and me on our wedding day. This is what we got married in, and yes, this is our wedding picture. We came home, we married in Vegas and drove straight back home. I don't know if you can see it, but he kept that in his house. I put our rings. He had to take his wedding ring off because his hand swelled so bad. But I put our rings in the safe. So I'll be back in a few minutes, guys. And we'll get this party started. Don't forget to get your drinks. Hi, guys. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the tour of my apartment. So here on the shit show, I created this channel to talk about life and getting old. Excuse me a minute. Yeah. About life and getting old. And because of that, I want to introduce you to my wig, Jenny. I like the shorter wigs. I haven't put one on since the last time I seen my husband, the day he died. I'm going to try not to be emotional. And that's why I'm smoking. I don't usually smoke on film, but I don't give a shit right now. That's how I feel. So get your coffee, get your cigarettes, get your pot, get your gummies, do whatever makes you happy. Go get it, and let's have a talk, okay? There's my dog, Sis McGiss. Elliot never met her. As you all know, my husband and I did not live in the same apartment. Actually, since we got married, we lived a year in Apache in my mobile home. I sold that. We rented an apartment for the reason that I was going out boondocking. I bought a van, and I have to say that probably out of the 5 years that me and him were, or 4 years that we rented that apartment, first of all, the whole last year I've been in this apartment, moved in here, because I had to come off the road because of my physical health. So I moved into this apartment. And besides that, I'd be gone 6-8 months. You know, I'd drop by once a month to go see the doctor and see how he was doing, take him out to lunch, and I'd be gone again. But we did good that way, you guys. And you know, we can't define other people's relationships like we define our own. And one thing about me and Elliot is We've known each other since 1982. It's a long time. I was just a girl. He was 8 years older than I. And we fell in love. And life took its course, and in 2013, we found each other again. And, and we were together ever since. It wasn't always easy times, as a matter of fact. There were some really hard times. He wasn't the man that I knew as a young girl, or that I made him up to be. You know, we kind of all have... Oh, my glass is crooked. Looks like it. We all have idiosyncrasies, you know, that we don't get along with each other. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little of our history real quick. So I've been living in this apartment for over a year. I moved in here in March of 2024. He stayed in our one-bedroom apartment. It's probably about 5 miles from there. We visited each other often. He either came here or I went there. And then when he got sick, I had to go 2, 3, 4 times a week to his house. And since I can't drive anymore, because I can't get in and out of a van, I take a city bus. It would take me 4 buses to get there and 4 buses to get back to my apartment. And on days he wanted me to stop at the store or pay bills, it would be 5 and 6 rides one way. The last, I would say it started getting really bad in March, is when I had to start paying his bills, doing his shopping, his laundry, cooking, cleaning his house the best that I could, and traveling all that time with a walker on a city bus. For reals, guys, kicked my ass. I knew from the start, in February, his skin color turned gray. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, my grandma used to call it the face mask of death, when people turn gray. And one day he was here with our son, and I said, Elliot, your skin color is really off. And I said, it's gray. And he goes, so, I'm telling you, these look crooked to me. Maybe my eyes are crooked. He goes, what's that mean? I said, well, my grandmother called it the face of death. And he said, God, Tammy, you're so morbid. Well, yeah, I am kind of sometimes morbid. But we let it pass. And I asked him, are you feeling okay? And he says, I'm feeling okay. I'm a little tired. But he says, no, I'm feeling good. And he weighed about 250, 260 at the time, as thick as he was in that picture I just showed you. You guys, when he passed away, he weighed less than I do. And I right now weigh 130. He weighed less than I did. It got to where he couldn't eat, couldn't drink. He had constant diarrhea. He was in diapers. One night I got a phone call from him. I just got home from his house. And he said, Tammy, I have fell and I cannot get up off the floor. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't get off the floor? He goes, I have no strength in my legs to push myself up off the floor onto this bed. So I had to go down and get my girlfriend's son. His name is Cameron. And Cameron took me over there in a car, because the bus would have took me 2 hours. Cameron took me over there in a car. I'm sweating because I just walked my dog before I started videoing. Cameron took me over there together, and I don't know how, we got him off the floor. And you guys, he had skin marks on his knees and his elbows where he pushed his body because he didn't have the strength to get up. And at that point I asked him to please come stay with me at my apartment, because at that point I was starting to get really worried. I knew he was dying. Obviously, he knew he was dying, but men are so stubborn. He refused to go to the doctor. He refused to go to the hospital. So, as the weeks went on, it got worse. I finally got him to wear diapers full time, which he couldn't really hardly change. I had to help him. You know what, you guys? When it comes to someone you love, there's no disgust. There's no, I can't do it. You just fucking do it. This is so hard. I'm only 66. He had just turned 74 on the 4th of June, and I told him that day when I took him his birthday presents. I said, honey, you made it. I didn't think you'd make it to your birthday. He never got to wear the gifts I bought him. No matter how much you prepare, no matter how strong you are, and being there taking care of that loved one, I did put no makeup on. You're just not prepared. You're not. You're just not. And it didn't help that I'm the second wife. Not only am I the second wife, when we conceived our son, I was actually in an affair he was having. I'm not proud of it, but it's a fact. And his family don't like me, and I don't give a shit. I don't like them either. That's how that goes. But I kept begging him to call his mother, who's 95, you guys, and tell her how sick he was, and his other sons. Because I think our son knew. But I kept begging him to tell his mother, and he wouldn't. Well, it came down to his birthday was on a Tuesday. And the following Tuesday I went over, and I cried, I begged him to go to the hospital, or come to my house, or see a doctor, anything. And he would. And so I had planned, since I hadn't been home that much the week before, taking care of bills and all of that. I hate it when the hairs tickle you. I had planned not to go back down over to see him until Friday. Well, every day I made him call me in the morning, and every night before he went to bed, he had to call me. And that's just was the rules. That way I would know if he was okay, because I didn't want to find him dead. And I was really mad at him, because that's what he was forcing upon me. Is that one day I would walk in and find him gone. Close. So we'd made plans for me to cut by Friday morning. I talked to him Thursday. And unbeknownst to me, Wednesday, he had called the manager, and the manager and the assistant manager to those apartments had to go up to the apartment and get him off the floor. He had fell again. I was not aware of this, because at that point I would have called an ambulance. I didn't know. So Thursday night comes. We talk Thursday morning. We talk about what I'm going to cook on Friday. I told him we'd get him in the shower, I was going to mop the kitchen floor. Just plans for the day while I was there. Well, that night he didn't call. And I thought, I wonder if he fell asleep and because he would just fall asleep for no reason. Just be out. And so I said, well, maybe I'm not going to call and disturb him. He probably just was really tired, because he sounded really tired that morning. And I said, I'm just going to let him sleep. I'll see him in the morning. Well, in the morning, I would get up at 4 a.m., you guys, and catch a bus at 6 a.m. to be at his house by 8. That's how long it took me to get to his house on a bus. Okay? Well, when I get on a bus on the days I was going over, the minute I got on the bus, I would text him and say, honey, I'm on the bus. That way he knew that he had 2 hours to get himself up out of bed and presentable for me to get there. What he considered presentable, cleaned up, his diaper. Okay? No answer. So there's one more stop where I text him and I say, I'm at this location, which was Thunderbird and 19th Avenue, right by his house, but one more bus away. And I can't walk it. It's too far to walk, but it's awful close, you know what I mean? So I texted him from there and I said, honey, I'm at Thunderbird and 19th. I'll be there in a few minutes. I said, why are you not answering me? Well, guys, he didn't answer. And by the time I got to the house in a half hour, because I had to wait 20 minutes for the damn bus, that's most of the 2-hour ride, was waiting for the next bus. So I get there, and I'm afraid to open the door. Somebody's got to. So I opened the door, and he had his bed at the time right by the front door, in case I needed to get to him in a hurry. And he wasn't in his bed. And I said, Elliot, El. No answer. I said, honey, please answer me. Oh. And I heard this faint little, honey, help. I'm sorry, guys. When I went in, I found him in the bathroom. He was hanging off of his metal walker, you know, those tin ones, you guys. Half on the toilet, half off. He'd been there since 7 o'clock the night before, because he couldn't get up. He was crying. And he said, I didn't think you would make it in time. He said, I've been praying all night. So I called an ambulance. They wouldn't let me ride with him. I had to take buses, guys. My dying husband, they wouldn't let me ride in the ambulance. I had to take buses to the hospital. It took me 2 buses in an hour. I get there and I walk in and they have my husband on a bed and they have him head down, feet in the air, and they're trying to save his life because he crashed. And they save him. They bring him back. And they get him stabilized and they start running tests. And we found out, not that day, but the next day we found out how bad it really was. But they fought all day. His kidneys had shut down. He had sepsis. They had him on 8 antibiotics, you guys, that I have never heard of. He had 8 different little containers hanging off his IV drip, dripping in with his IV. His kidneys totally shut down. And his blood pressure is the reason they had him tilted, because it had dropped so low it wouldn't sustain his life. So we got him stable, got him into ICU. And everything was okay. We were waiting for the test. At this point, all we knew is he had sepsis. We knew that for sure. And we we knew he had cancer. We just didn't know where. Doctor told us that. But for sure we knew he had sepsis. And they pretty much knew that his kidneys had stopped, had shut down. Because his feet looked like elephant feet. They were round. You couldn't hardly see his little toes. That's how swollen they were. So I stayed with him until 9 o'clock at night, when I had to catch the last bus. And I came home. And the next morning I got up at 4, so I could be at the hospital at 6, because it was still, I had to walk with my walker a quarter of a mile to catch a different bus to get to the hospital that he was in. He was in a hospital called John C. Lincoln. It's been there since I was a kid. It was a tuberculosis hospital back in the 50s. Great hospital. So I get there at 8, and the doctors are due to come around at 9. I got him to eat some applesauce and a strawberry ice cream for breakfast, but he wouldn't drink. Nothing. So I found out that morning that he had crashed again that night at about 2 in the morning, and they brought him back. And they told me if he crashes a third time, that my husband signed a do not resuscitate, they would not bring him back. And at that time, I knew he wasn't coming home. The doctors, when they came in, you guys, I'm going to tell you, they bring all the doctors that are working your case in ICU. And the room before us, the room before us was a lady, and she had 3 doctors standing there counseling her about what her test read. When they came to my husband's room, and I'm not exaggerating, they had 10 doctors, not including the kidney doctor, who had showed up before the rest of them to tell us that my husband's kidneys were still shut down, that she could probably have them up and running in about 3 days, but that they are massively destroyed and that he would live on dialysis. If you love somebody, who cares? That's what I told him. I don't care. I don't care that you're on dialysis. Because in my heart, I didn't want him to go. I didn't want him in pain and suffering, and he was so hard at it, and wouldn't let me know how bad it really was, because he hated to worry me. Anyway, we have all these 10 doctors, 12 doctors standing out there. We have one main doctor, who is the emergency doctor, who called in all these other doctors who did the test and all that. Amongst them were heart doctors, kidney doctors, well no, she wasn't there, liver doctors, there was chemo, oncologists, there were all these doctors, infectious doctors because of the sepsis. And the doctor pulled up his CT scan, and he said, I want you to notice this area here, this dark area. He goes, you see there's nothing in there. And he said that's where his intestines should be. There wasn't even an outline. They had disintegrated in his body. That's where the sepsis was coming from. And the next thing he pulled up was Elliot's liver. The liver on the bottom of the liver was gone, and about 2 inches of it was just gone. But the liver had transformed and come up and had circled over and was laying against his heart. So he had his liver was actually shaped like this inside his body, which you guys know that your liver's not shaped that way. But within that liver was all cancer. There was one little spot about the size of a 50-cent piece that was functioning. Next, he took us to Elliot's lungs. And he says we're going to go like we're looking from head in. And he goes, and as we're going down, we got a polyp there, we got one there, we got one, not polyp, what did he call them? I don't remember what he called them, but they were round and they were dark. They were cancer. He gets down, he's halfway to the bottom of Elliot's lungs, and he says, at that point, The whole bottom is cancer. He says, so he's got 12 above the lower part of his lungs, and his bottom lungs are all cancer. He goes, the only thing we don't know, but we're pretty sure of, is where his cancer originated. He said, since his bowels, his colon is non-existent now, and his septus, we're pretty sure that's where it started. He said, but it's not worth it to put your husband through all these tests to find out where it originated, because the fact is, it doesn't matter, because we can't do anything for him. My husband cried. I cried. And I said, well, what do we do? And the oncologist said, I can't even offer chemo. He has no colon. He really has no liver. And his blood pressure, we're using massive medicines to keep his blood pressure high enough to keep him alive. He says, I give your husband hours to days. Before he leaves us. And at that point, we made arrangements for hospice at my apartment. You know, guys, this is a part of getting old. And I wanted to do this channel to talk about age and what happens when you get older, how life changes in your body and people around you. I didn't know when I came up with that idea months ago, the first thing we'd cover would be the death of my husband. At 66, I'm a fucking widow. I've never felt more alone in my life. I'm not alone. I have a good friend, Dee Dee. She comes over all the time. You get to meet her. I'll bring her in. I'm not alone. I have tons of family. I don't have any kids here. Not that they talk to me anyway. You guys found that out. So what happens now? My husband died just 4 short days later in hospice, and we'll go over that in part 2 because I was treated really bad. But I was holding him and washing his face and kissing it when he left us. I got there just in time. His boys came to visit, and he kept telling him, where's my Tammy? Call my Tammy. I feel so alone. We're going to cover how I had to clean out his apartment, how I had to go about his financial business, his burial. My husband is buried in Staten Island, New York. He didn't want to be cremated. He had no life insurance. We had no savings. And the only thing the state will offer And I'm telling this for you guys to get any kind of insurance you can get for your life if you don't want to be cremated. Is cremation. And then they'll sue the family. So they don't even have a potter's field anymore where they bury the dead that are too poor. So, because my husband was Jewish, he's buried and was buried by the Jewish Foundation, an awesome group of people. They paid to ship his body to New York. They paid for the ground, for the box, and they did one of the most beautiful ceremonies I've ever seen. But that's something else we're going to talk about. I try really hard to wait to be strong enough to come on here and tell you about the fact of life that we as seniors are going to have to face somewhere along the line. Either you're going to lose your life or your spouse is going to lose theirs. It's a circle of life. It happens. And it happens at the most inopportune time. Me and Elliot were so totally different. I'm an old biker hippie. He's a musician from New York. I'm a badass with a big mouth, and I talk constantly. He played music and was all chill. We were opposites. I'm the one that taught him to fish, just so we would have something in common. And he loved it. He hated the camping part, but in order for him to fish, he had to go camping. That's just what I did. But we had nothing in common, you guys. Nothing. 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 Nothing, but I loved him dearly. And I know, without a fact, he loved me dearly. So, in part 2, I will continue the story. It gets worse. What his family did was horrific. And all out of greed and ignorance, I would say. His one son hasn't talked to him since he married me. And he even had nerve to make a video on his father's phone that his father wouldn't see, but I would. He wanted to talk about the differences they had as his father was lying in his bed dying. His father died the next morning, and this kid had nerve to say anything about disagreements. Now the other son told a sweetheart he had his father's heart. But it just shows you that family can be so cruel during this time. And nobody bonds. Nobody. And I don't know what my husband's sister told Hospice of the Valley. I will name them. But they thought they didn't have to get any authorization through me, his legal wife. They even questioned if I was his legal wife. I took my marriage certificate down there. When I was having him sent to New York to be buried, the lady came to me and said, "I don't feel good with this decision." And I looked her in her eye and I said, "I don't give a fuck what you feel good with. I'm his fucking wife, and they're flying his body to New York. Got it?" She goes, "Well, what about his sons?" "Fuck his sons. He's going there." I said, "But to make you feel happy." I said, "His sons already know about it. Call them." When you have people like that work in an industry that is
as hard as life can be, in a moment when you need compassion and love, for people to treat any woman, any wife, anybody in that manner should have their doors closed and she should be fired. And I told him when I made a complaint against her, that very thing. It was his sons that would call me and say, Tammy, Dad's asking for you. It wasn't the hospital. I had one phone call in the 4 days he was there that told me about his situation. And then she just argued with me. Don't go to Hospice of the Valley. I don't care where they're located, but definitely not in Phoenix. Don't do it. They'll disrespect you. They don't care. They get into family drama and it's bullshit. As his wife, as your husband's wife, or your wife's husband, you have the ultimate say in any and everything to do with your husband or wife's body, his burial arrangements, where his stuff goes is your decision. There is nobody, not his children, not her children, nobody who can overstep what you decide. Remember that. Okay? So anyway, the bitch in me resides, and she came out that day. I even had one nurse say, God, I can't wait till that lady's out of here. And I said, that's two of us. It's just how I feel about it. Bag him up. Get him off to New York. He has to be buried by tomorrow. I was pissed. So, you have to stand up for them as much as if they were alive when they're gone. If I hadn't went down that morning, they wouldn't have told me how bad he was that night. They knew he was leaving. They knew he was really bad that night. And I found that out through the grapevine. I had decided just something the night before. You guys said, go see him in the morning. Get up at 4 and be there. And I walked in at about 10 to 7. And my husband's time of death was 7:19. That's how much time I got with him. And I wouldn't have got that. Because they weren't going to tell me. So, part 2, you guys. I will try to be a little stronger and not cry. But when I get really mad, I cry. And some of the shit that they did to me with this Hospice of the Valley, that place should be shut down. When I die, I'm coming home to die. They can have a nurse, and they can have all of them come in here and take care of me in my own home while I die. And I'm going to tell you guys why in the next video. In the next video. Nobody ever lasts more than 3 days in hospice. I know. I've had a few people sent to hospice. And I'll tell you why my dear husband changed his mind and didn't come to my house to pass. But I will tell you that the minute he hit that hospice, they quit giving him water and they quit feeding him. All they gave him was morphine. More morphine and more morphine. I'm lonely. It'll pass. I have good people around me. My friend Dee, you guys will get to meet her. What a character. If it wasn't for her and her son, I don't know how I would have got that apartment cleaned out, because you guys, I was so sore. He lived on the 2nd floor. I had to pack it up myself, unload it myself. If it wasn't for Dee Dee and her son unloading that U-Haul, I still wouldn't be walking. My body was so hurt, and I put it through so much. Taking hundreds of trips down those stairs and putting it in the U-Haul, packing it up. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I could have done it. That U-Haul would have still been sitting out in my parking lot, and I'd still be paying on it, because I still couldn't. It's all I can do to walk a little Mustang. How Mustang-y. That look. Hi, babies. Give mommy kisses. Come here. Come and get mommy. No, she goes scratch my tummy. She noticed. She knows. She's been such a kind little part of my life. Anyway, I'm sorry for this to be our first subject on this channel for seniors. It's called the shit show for a reason. Life just don't get no better, guys. It gets harder. So I'll see you next time. Remember to love each other. Cherish the moments you have with those that you love and who love you. And you know, forgive. Because if you don't forgive, it's not killing anybody but yourself. You know, big eyes. Maybe Dee Dee will be around in my next video. I hope you guys have a great day. And thank you for stopping by to watch this video. Peace out.